Welcome, and thank you for joining me on this video about the worship services at Christ Church. It's very quiet in here, although it's not completely free of action. Our organ tuner, Peter, he came yesterday to tune in preparation for Christmas, he says, and this morning the delivery people uh, delivered some hand sanitizers, a whole stack of hand sanitizers, which we need to install. This video is about worship services in August, when we'll be exploring other churches' worship services. This will be a very important time of reflection for the church as we think about what is worship going to be like in the next stage of our worship progression. I reckon this time of exploration is going to be like going on holiday and going to churches. Sometimes you go to a different church and it's really good, and you think, oh, why don't we do that at Christ Church? Other times you walk away going, oh, that was awful, and you're just glad to be back to something familiar. Either way, these reflections will be really important as we think about what we are going to do next for worship at Christ Church. Uh, every week, I will present a little short video before we go to this other church, where I will probably give some announcements and I will introduce the church that we were going to. The service will last about an hour, and then afterwards we'll gather on Zoom to discuss what worked and what didn't work. And I invite you to join us for those discussions. Those will be really important times, either by telephone, and the telephone numbers will be in the service sheet, by computer, that could be either your tablet, your phone, or your PC. Come and join us for a discussion after each one of the services so we can hear how you found that worship service. There are so many things that we need to think about as we think about the next stage of coming out of lockdown for Christ Church. For one, we know that a lot of people won't be coming to church when it first opens. The risks will simply be too high, and it will not be safe for them to come to this place. And so we will have two congregations. We'll have one which is sitting here, and we will have a congregation which is out there at home, trying to connect, hopefully by CDs or by internet. And we need to build these bridges so that we can talk to each other. Now, different churches have spent various amounts of money on building this bridge through the internet. And we need to think how much money we are willing to spend and what kind of experience we're willing to share with each other. So that's just one of the areas that we need to think about. Of course, another area of thinking about we need to reflect about is what actually will happen when we gather. As you know, restrictions means there's a whole bunch of things that we cannot do. We cannot sing. We cannot have conversations inside a church. We'll have to wait until we're in the parking lot. We'll probably have to register to come in, and we'll probably have to file one by one out of the church. Of course, there won't be any coffee. Communion will be vastly different, and on and on. Worship will feel very, very different when we come back into Christ Church. And we want to explore how other churches have found solutions to all the restrictions and think about what we want to do before rushing into anything. That's why some of your feedback will be really important. We want to ask ourselves, what brought us closer to Christ and what simply did not? Finally, we need to think also about the longer term of worship at Christ Church. We need to balance our own preferences for connecting with God with the mission of the church. We would hope that as people come out of lockdown and think about what is the meaning of life and some of the other big questions, that they might think about coming to Christ Church. We hope that our services in the future will attract new young families, young adults, perhaps students and youth. And we want to think in the longer term how our services might change to be attractive to these kind of people. So these and many more questions we want to ask ourselves and reflect upon. And that's why it's really important that we all engage with the services week by week and offer our comments on what worked, what brought us closer to Christ, and what simply did not. And we will listen to your feedback and try to shape the future of worship at Christ Church. I hope all of you are keeping well and keeping safe, and I look forward to catching up with you in the near future. Bless you.